And let's be honest, I mean, this is not a good football team they're going up and face. So this is a nice situation, even though you never want to go on the road, but hey, you're only driving a luxury bus up the turnpike.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. J-Mac, how you doing on a Wednesday morning, brother? A quick turnover this week as we are now just on the eve of Week 6 game day for the Eagles. J-Mac, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, Thursday football. Ugh. The whole thing is just, everything about it.
Well, it's a
But
long day, but do you at least appreciate that you get a Sunday back, or are you just doom and gloom on the Thursday ball, John?
I just don't like Thursday football from the perspective of just the product and all the aesthetic stuff. Nothing with me. Like I joke about traffic. Unfortunately, I got to go to New York or North Jersey, but so you're not going to beat traffic anytime there. But um, yeah, I mean, you don't practice. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, they
You're
have
more talking about all football here when it comes to,
yes,
yeah,
all of football. It's
gotcha.
just awful. Now, some of the players, especially the veteran players, like it because they don't want to practice and they don't need to practice, and they'd rather just play the game and have the weekend off. Jason Kelsey used to say that. As Zach Bone about that said similar things. But for the younger players who need the technique and the fundamentals and all that stuff, it's very harmful. You're not, even though people hate to say you're not game planning, you're not game planning. At least a normal amount and for a typical Sunday game. Um, it's basically a DNA game. So you look inward, you play what you do well, and you kind of say, all right, let's line up the Giants. If they do anything, they'll say we'll do that, and the Eagles will try to do what they think they do well. And yeah, I mean the whole process is just terrible. But Amazon pays a lot of money, and if one of these other companies wants to pay for Wednesday football, they'll probably play Wednesday football
Yeah,
at
they
some point.
will. You know they
Um,
will, John.
yeah, so that's
I'm
what it
waiting for
is.
Friday. Friday like makes a little more sense. Obviously, Wednesday is a little bit tongue in cheek. I don't know if that's even. I don't know.
Well, everything involves television, and that's and less people watch TV on Friday night than Thursday nights, and that's the mentality of why they probably would rather have it on Friday nights, and they do the Black Friday game, and the Eagles will be in that this year, but um, that's why they settled on Thursday night because TV viewership is higher.
Yeah.
Everything is TV, TV, TV.
Yep, no doubt about it. Johnny Mac, let's prep for this game a little bit. We'll get into some of the conversations that were had yesterday. Jalen spoke, Kevin Patullo spoke, Vic Fangio spoke. So we'll hit on some of that stuff. But just going into this Eagles Giants game, Thursday night football, what is the injury report, John? Doesn't look too bad outside of Landon. Landon did not practice yesterday, and Grant Calcaterra did not practice. But Saquon, Jahad Campbell, Byron Young were upgraded to limited participants, or maybe just Saquon was upgraded, and then Nakobe Dean was a full participant. What do you know, John, about the status of these guys for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I expect Landon and Grant to be ruled out today. I don't think they're going to play. Saquon's going to play. Um, so those are your key guys, and I think it's pretty clear which route that's going down. Saquon said he's going to play yesterday. Um, with Landon and Grant, yeah, they're especially in a short week, you can't make that kind of recovery. So, and maybe that's in the long run, maybe that's a good thing, especially for Landon Dickerson to settle down, get that extra time, have a mini bye week, and potentially get ready for Minnesota. And that might be even, from what I've heard, that might even be touch and go. But knowing Landon, he'll try to get back for that game. But um, definitely going to miss tomorrow. Might miss another game, but then should be back. So, and that might help them with the other issues as well to sort of calm some of that stuff down. So, That could be a silver lining. And let's be honest, I mean, this is not a good football team they're going up and face. So this is a nice situation, even though you never want to go on the road, but you're only driving a luxury bus up the turnpike. It's not like you're flying across country or even halfway across the country. So that's a positive. And then they're not very good. And they shifted from from a veteran quarterback to a young quarterback. I think all the sample sizes are still too small, but the Giants have the 19th ranked offense. The Eagles have the 30th ranked offense. But all of that is based on that one game in Dallas where they just threw it all over the place and it went to overtime. And it's like, and Russell Wilson's not playing since they shifted to Jackson Dart. They've been brutal offensively. Especially throwing the football. Now he's added something to the running game. Vic Fangio made a big deal about that as far as the gun runs and things like that. But you can't build an offense around that.
Yeah.
So they're really up against it offensively, even though if you look at it on paper, you say, well, they're better than the Eagles. No, they're not.
Yeah, it's good context there.
Yeah. So
well, the other factor, John, is also obviously Malik Neighbors, who we all know is out for the year with his ACL. But they're also missing Darius Slayton, who, hey, he might not strike fear in anyone, but when you lose Malik Neighbors, those type of guys become more important to a team. And now he was a DNP yesterday, did not practice, as well as their tackle, Jermaine Illuminor. I don't know if I said that right, but Illuminor, or however you say that. So 2 starters for them that were DNPs yesterday, and they could potentially be in jeopardy of missing Thursday's game. So that'll make it even harder for that offense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Malik Neighbors is one of the few players that you can look at on the Giants offensively and say, all right, that guy's good.
Right.
So that was a devastating injury for them, torn ACL out for the season. So now, as you mentioned, and Slayton's hurt, who plays a lot and, hasn't been playing well, but he plays a lot. So, you're relying on Wan'Dale Robinson as your top receiver, who's, not a bad player, but certainly not somewhere you want to be. Cam Scatterbo at running back, which excites a lot of people, but, he's a good player as a rookie, but he's not explosive, he's not going to break off the 70-yard run that where you're going to fear him. So they're just up against it offensively. And then their seemingly decade-long struggle to find an offensive line is just, not working.
Never ending.
Yeah.
I want to see Cam Scatterbo and Cooper DeJean in the open field, head to head. Who makes the play? The thing I like about Scatterbo, I think he's a solid player, but I just like that he runs through people, man.
He's physical, and that will excite some people, and that's I think why he gets a little bit more hype than probably deserved because of that. And should note Andrew Thomas is back, and he is good, so they do have at least one good offensive lineman. And he's legitimately good, but everybody else is at best. John Michael Schmitz is kind of below average at center. Guards are John Runyon's Jr. Hasn't lived up to the hype when he came over as a free agent. Greg Van Roten, not very good. You mentioned Illuminor. He's better equipped to play right tackle than left tackle, but he hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire either. So, remains the same issues. And I don't know. I've been saying it for a couple of years, but I don't know how Brian Daboll survives this or Joe Shane, but it's not a very good football team.
No, they're not a good football team. And if I'm Jackson Dart, I don't know if I want him to survive it, to be honest with you. But we'll see what ends up happening with all that. John, how much stock do you put into this? I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but the MetLife turf. Are you like, it's an issue. Yeah, it's something to be careful of. It's a lot of nothing. Like, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I meant to look at it. I think it's a little bit overblown. Look, but the players don't like playing there. That's number one.
Right.
I mean, it's very clear. Now, the Giants and Jets players have to play that way, have to play that every year. So if you think about how many games they play there, and I think it was Diana Rossini put out the statistics for serious injuries. I'm talking really serious injuries,
Like season-ending injuries.
Yes, torn ACLs and things like that. It's actually lower than the league average, which shocked me, to be honest, because of the reputation. Now, Ed and I were talking about that yesterday, and he said, well, AJ got hurt and Jalen got hurt there, and Sidney did tear his ACL, so Sidney would be in that category. But the other injuries, we're not talking about that. Those are just, sprained ankles and things. In AJ's case, a sprained knee, which are was devastating going into the playoffs that year.
Right.
But not talking those types of injuries, but the really, really serious. So the ones like Sidney Brown, it's actually lower than the league average. But, the players hate it. They're putting in grass for the World Cup that's going to be there, and then they're taking it out.
Well, why? What is up with this? The NFL. I mean, we got these teams are, the lowest value team in football right now is probably worth $5 billion. They can't make a collective decision to make sure that they got great. Why does FIFA come here or whatever it is, the World Cup come here and put grass down? That is crazy to me that football doesn't.
Well, because
maybe they don't think it's a problem, then that would be a different approach.
Because they're bidding for the process to host, and you have to acquiesce to win the bid.
Right, but if they're going to do that for them, wouldn't that show them, hey, we should have that for our guys as well?
Well, the argument is, remember, a lot of, and that's a public sort of stadium that is run by so you have the incompetence of government, certainly, and I can speak to that with New Jersey especially. So we won't do that. They keep up, and so that's the argument. They keep up, and it's just not feasible for them. But yeah, it's bullshit. Every stadium should have at this stage with the advancement, because you can even do it in domes now. They make enough money where the league should step in my opinion, but they're never going to do that. And say, even if it is just not more of a mental block than a real statistically proven block, players don't like playing there. And, if I'm the Maras and Woody Johnson, New York football has been in the dumper for a decade, as I mentioned, both teams. And that, think about that. New York, everybody, the league wants this team. The league wants this team. The league wants this team. The league loves the Chiefs. The league hates the Eagles. Everybody thinks in Philadelphia, even though they love the Eagles, which I thought
there might be no team that would benefit them more than New York.
Exactly. Exactly. And, I would just say fix it, and the league say, you know what, we're going to do this ourselves. But if it takes even a little bit away from the bottom line, they're not going to do that.
No doubt. Johnny Mac, let's talk real quick about yesterday. We're going to have Mike Gill coming up here. We'll have Brandon Lee Goutwin in hour number 2. Appreciate everybody for being here today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new. Drop your comments in the chat or on the video down below. I do want to remind everybody yesterday, for those who missed it, we had the great and the legendary Doug Pederson on in the afternoon show yesterday. That is pinned up on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, please go and watch Doug Pederson. I promise you, Eagles fans, it is worth your time.
Yeah, how was Doug? Doug?
He was excellent. He was excellent. He was really good. I mean, I love Doug, John. I'm used to listening to just, I don't know, Nick, and I'm not trying to pick on Nick, but I just love the way Doug speaks. He just comes off as so genuine to me. So it was a really good interview. He spoke about all sorts of different things, including the way his tenure ended here and all sorts of different stuff. So excellent interview, and appreciate everybody for watching that. John, yesterday, Jalen spoke, Patullo spoke.
Hey, real quick, I just want to, because I found it, I just want to interrupt for the MetLife stuff. currently ranked ninth best amongst NFL stadiums when it comes to minimizing lower extremity serious injuries last season. So it was actually ninth best. And there's not 32 stadiums because you double up SoFi and MetLife, but well in the top half. So it is more of a PR problem than any, but it's a legit PR problem. So sorry for interrupting you, but I was trying to find that because that had just came out last week, and it stunned me because of the reputation around the league, which is terrible. Nobody likes playing there.
Yep, no doubt. John, yesterday those guys spoke, though. What'd you make of the comments from Jalen? A lot of people were raving about Jalen's presser.
Yeah, and of course I missed it, waiting in the locker room. Because again, the short week, so everything's going on together. Kevin Patullo, right. You have this window, open locker room with Kevin Patullo and Jalen Hurts. So I wanted to get some of the ex-Giant guys, Adoree Jackson, who I got for a little bit.
I can't blame you for going open locker room over a Jalen presser.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And typically Jalen is Jalen, and he's going to be, he's going to be what he is and be very. And all of a sudden, he opens up a little bit, and I'm like, "Dad, that's a bad luck." But Ed was there, so we split it up. But, so evidently it was great. You got rave reviews. You got rave reviews from the reporters that were there, and I think that's a positive. And he's been better. To be fair, he's been better overall, I think, this season. But he really opened up a little bit more than I think he typically does.
Wonder why that was.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe he's just in a good mood.
Could be as simple as that. Maybe that meeting, John.
Maybe the big meeting.
Yeah,
which everybody downplayed is, acknowledged but downplayed. But yeah, I mean, the one question he got, he's been very good throwing against man this year versus zone, which is kind of different than it's been in the past. Been very good against the blitz, and then teams back off, and that's when he struggled when there's coverage. So gave a nice answer about that, which is atypical. But yeah, it was nice to see, I would say.
What about Kevin Patullo, John? I'll say, and I'm not trying to pick on Kevin, but I listened to his press conference. He must have said the words "kind of" 1,000 times in that press conference. I mean, he said,
everybody. I mean, I don't.
I'm like, holy shit, Kevin, just speak a little bit. I don't know. I just don't feel like he's comfortable or confident when he speaks sometimes. But what'd you make of what he had to say? Obviously, a lot of pressure on Kevin Patullo so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, everybody uses as a crutch. I don't get on people for that. I mean, I've said from the start, Kevin's a heck of a lot better than most of the offensive coordinators have been in the past, just on the podium. The Kellen Moores, the Brian Johnsons, Shane Steichen. So, I mean, he's the best just from a podium, not saying job performance. So that I'm not going to criticize him for, but some interesting things. I mean, they did run a lot of RPRs and RPOs against Denver for some reason. Obviously, they won't say what they saw, but they saw something, which I thought was interesting because they haven't.
Right.
One of the reasons they had a lot of success with RPOs in 2022, excuse me, when they went to the Super Bowl, and 2021. And then they sort of went away from it. And I think part of it is teams just getting better at handling it, and they started hitting the quarterbacks, which I've said in the past. But also the league, started calling it, when it came to illegal guys downfield, much more stringently. So that affected their process with it because, those 5-yard penalties, if you start leaking downfield, are difficult to overcome, to say the least, as you've
Especially
seen.
they were timely moments, man, in that Sunday game with the Birds.
Yeah.
timely penalties. Yeah.
So, and I heard this from Shane because the run pass thing was so out of whack, and so he did sort of at least explain some of that because they ran so many more RPOs than normal, I would say. And remember what an RPO is. It's a run pass option, or in their case, sometimes they call it an RPR because they have two options, Saquon and Jalen. And those, you go to the line of scrimmage, it might be a run, it might be a pass. And they ended up going heavily towards pass, obviously.
Right.
Instead of, and that's just about reading the player, and it should come naturally. But anyway, I thought that was the most interesting part because that's the best explanation I've heard of it. But also, you can, you can just throw the RPO if you see it getting that, unbalanced. You can just throw the RP option out of it and just say, all right, we call it traditional inside zone, traditional outside zone. So they had 6 of those RPOs, so that's 6 right away. And they had 4 third and longs he mentioned, which obviously are going to be obvious passing situations. So it ended up being 20 passes that were just situational football, as he described it, which, all right, I'll buy that. I can buy it. But again, that doesn't mean you can't shift in the moments. So basically he said 10 2-minute plays, which are obvious passing when you're trying to come back. 6 RPOs that turned into passes, and then the 4 third and longs, which are obvious pass. So that's 20 passes. And that's basically half of the allotments, which does make some sense. But again, when you're getting that unbalanced, there's nothing, it's not against the law to shift your thinking and say, all right, I'm going to take the option out of it.
Yeah, right.
And say, so I think it was good understanding for people that want to understand it. And I thought also that, well, then you have to shift. You have to shift your thinking if it's not going the way you had preferred.